Hey guys, first of all I just want to say a massive welcome and thank you for watching. I've been planning this channel, and in particular this series, for quite a while now, and I'm extremely excited to share these adventures with you. Of course, if you could subscribe to the channel and give the video a like, it would definitely mean a lot and support the channel tremendously. In this video we're going to take a trip to Brigus South to enjoy the beautiful Newfoundland scenery and take some photos. A few weeks ago I visited the tiny fishing village on Newfoundland's southern shore, and I felt there was no better place to shoot the first video for my channel. It's an outstanding setting and depicts the spectacular landscapes of this unique island. Hope you enjoy. So we're here in Brigus South, and as you can see, this place is it's quite remarkable. You got some of the most rugged coastlines on this island. There are some rustic old homes that we refer to as saltbacks and biscuitbacks houses. During the last century, these were the common style of home for Newfoundlanders living in these fishing outports. There's inshore fishing boats and stages everywhere. Absolutely gorgeous. Our visit starts here overlooking the harbour, and I always love vantage points such as this, especially for taking pictures and especially using my telephoto lens. You can get some really stunning views that are super impactful when shooting from above like this, and I'll share some examples a little later in the video. I did a little research regarding the name of the community, and Brigus South traces back to the early 1600s, when early French settlers landed on these shores, and it loosely translates from the harbour of turmoil and tides. On a stormy day, it would definitely be easy to see why. Here in Newfoundland, a fishing stage is essentially a seaside outbuilding used by inshore fishermen primarily for storage of fishing gear. This particular stage belonged to a man named Francis Power, and is quite possibly the most iconic of its kind in the province. It's a hugely popular landmark and is usually the very first place visitors stop when they come to this area. To some it may be considered an eyesore, but for most outsiders it's a powerful symbol of Newfoundland heritage, and for any photographer, a visit to Brigus South just isn't complete without a few snaps of this beauty. Like a lot of small towns in Newfoundland, the harbour wharf is a cornerstone of the community. Usually it's where you'll find the larger fishing vessels, often referred to as longliners. Today, while the population of Brigus South has dwindled to less than 100 year-round residents, and many of the homes are for seasonal use, the fishery still plays an integral part of the economic activity of the region. So we're here in Lightroom, and these two images were actually taken on my trip a few weeks ago. I'd seen many shots by other local photographers of the stage, and given its obvious dilapidated current condition, I thought I'd better give it a go before it was too late. This first shot is pretty generic. This is generally the angle most tend to go for, while the second here, this was an attempt to go for something a little more original and put my own spin on it. I've always been partial to vertical compositions, and I have a tendency to align the focal elements of the picture in the center. So as you can see, everything here is kind of lined up, and this is something I always like to do with my images. Both of these were focus stacked in Photoshop to get them sharp from the foreground right through to the background. Then added several adjustment layers using things like luminosity masks and levels and curves to enhance the contrast and tone. Some basic cleanup using the clone stamp tool to remove any minor distractions, followed with some dodging here just to bring out some of the colors, and then finished off with a Norton effect just to give it that mystical atmospheric feel. These four images were taken from up on top of the hill, and this one here was more of a snapshot just to give you an idea of what can be done. And one of the effects I like of a telephoto lens, it almost gives the scene a little bit of a miniature look, and really compresses the foreground and the background, these stages look a lot closer than they actually are. So, you know, the compression comes into play there. Again, this is a telephoto shot, and this was taken a little bit later. The sun was just getting ready to set. The point outside the harbour there is quite a distance away, but again, the compression coming into play with the use of the telephoto lens, and you had some sun just kind of splashing in. Again, the telephoto lens, and I just love the rock formations, especially C-stack that you see here and this one. But this one really caught my eye, so I went for a second composition, and I just love the contrast here. You've got, you know, the light just pouring in over certain parts of the image, and then you've got the shadows, but the cool shadows and the warm light really adds some strong contrast to the image, and makes it quite powerful. Then we have these final two images, and basically these were two shot at different angles taken of the wharf. This one was taken more from up on the hill, whereas this one was taken closer to the wharf, obviously. But I wanted to show both of these just to give you an idea, as something I alluded to earlier there, the difference of using different focal lengths and what it can mean for your photos. This one was shot at about 35 millimeters, so it's more of a, while it's not super wide, it's significantly wider than this shot, which was done, I believe, at about 400 millimeters. And as you can see, the point off in the distance doesn't look far away, but in actuality it's quite a distance away from the foreground elements here. So again, the compression comes into play, really pulls everything together. And both images were treated with some luminosity masks to bring out more tone and contrast. This one in particular, we're going to go through it, and I'll show you, a quick overview of the edits that I applied to this file. Okay, so I've just taken the file over into Photoshop, and as you can see here, this is the merge visible layer right here, but all my edits are here in this folder. So I'm just going to open it up and walk through you right from basically from start to finish how I edited the file. So this was the basic image after I focus stacked. First edit you see here was just a basic luminosity mask to bring down some of the highlights, as you can see. Then we got, I just did another levels adjustment actually, just to add a little bit of vignette, draw the viewer's interest here into the middle of the scene. One thing that I didn't like was, while I was there on scene, there was a lot more color in the sky, and for whatever reason wasn't really able to capture that with the camera. So I did some slight dodging just to bring this purple hue back into the image, as you can see right here. Next we've got a brightness contrast layer, brought down the brightness, brought down the contrast around, as you can see here with the mask that was applied to the image, and I'll just highlight that for you. So this was kind of just to apply to the outer edge of the image. The human eye is naturally drawn to brightness, contrast, and saturation, so I kind of wanted to, there, as you can see, it kind of tones down the outside, draws your eye again to the middle of the image. Next we've got our Orton effect, and with the Orton effect just adds a little slight bit of atmosphere to the file, and I'll just toggle that on and off so you can see the difference. There's the off, there's the on, off, on. Again, just gives your brighter elements in the image a little bit more ethereal feel. Then I added some glow with a camera raw filter actually, and the glow in the sky was another thing. Besides the purple hue, the glow in the sky wasn't really coming through in the image, so I kind of brought that back right here and in the foreground just to recreate what I saw there during that evening. And there's the difference, there's the off and there's the on. Next we got another levels adjustment, and basically what I wanted to do here was, again, controlling the attention of the viewer. Didn't want the eye to wander over here, even though I could have, you know, maybe cropped that out, but I didn't want to. I liked the composition as it was, but you know, with this space over here, it's a little bit empty. So I applied another levels adjustment to this part of the image, as you can see, and there's the off, there's the on. Very subtle, but again, brings your attention right to the middle of the image. Then we got our final cleanup layer. Just a couple of minor tweaks. As you can see, there's the off, and you've got some antennas here on the boat that I just found them a little busy and distracting from the image, so I kind of just took those out. There's the on, there's the before and the after, before and the after. Again, I love to add atmosphere and haze to my images, so the next thing was I just did a hard light adjustment layer actually, and painted in a little bit of haze, as you can see right there, and it gives the impression of fog in the image, which of course is quite common in Newfoundland. So brought in this haze, and it kind of makes the background fall away from the image. Next thing we got here is another levels adjustment. Again, all a part of the vignette. And I tend to do this very subtly and using multiple layers. So what this did was it just brought down the perimeter of the image again. The next one is a curves layer. Let's see. Yeah, so just to bring down the exposure of, as you can see here from the mask, is just to bring down the exposure of the foreground. There's the before. There's the after, before and after. And the next one, again, a levels adjustment. And what I wanted to do here, sometimes I'll go into my levels and I brought down the exposure a tiny bit, but more so I wanted to target the brighter parts of the foreground, not really touch the darks. As you can see, not much in the shadows or the blacks that was affected here, but just to take some of the brighter parts of the foreground. There's your before, there's your after, before, after. And the last thing here, this is a brightness contrast. I just wanted, again, it's about drawing the viewer's eye into the center of the image, so I added some brightness and some contrast to the focal point of the image. And there's your before, your after, before, after. And by brightening up right here, as you can see, it just draws your eye right to this point, to the boats. Obviously that's the main focal point of the image right here, and then you got your point off in the background, but I didn't want the eye wandering around a whole lot. So basically I just added some brightness and contrast to draw the viewer's eye into that part of the image. So guys, thanks again for watching. Be sure to subscribe and give the video a like if you found this helpful. If you have any questions about anything I did in this video, drop it down in the comments below. And even if you have any ideas of future videos or places you'd like me to probably go see and do some pictures, that would be greatly appreciated. So we'll catch you on the next one.